It's showtime, it's your time. It's game time, it's go time. You got one shot at a gold mine.
Welcome to Black Voices in Color, where we discuss profound topics that focus on Black identity, culture, and Black excellence. We're a student podcast produced by Denver Public Schools that elevates the voices of Black students in our district. Today's episode is all about our experiences and advice for finding resources and scholarships for college and just preparing for that next stage of life. I'm Savannah Bland, and I'm here with
Joshua Ayite,
Emmanuel Paris,
and Anai Beasley. So I know we all have concerns about how we're going to pay for school. I mean, we can always talk about where we're going, but at the end of the day, if we don't have the money, we ain't going. So what have you guys done so far to increase your chances of getting to your dream schools?
and just for some background information, the average cost of attendance at an in-state public 4-year institution in the U.S. is about $27,000, or for 4 years, it's $109,000, and that's for student living on campus, tuition, fees, books and supplies, and room and board too.
And right on top of that, out-of-state students pay about $45,000 per year, which rounds up to about $180,000 over 4 years. Versus private institutions and non-profit universities, they end up paying around $60,000 per year, and that rounds up to about $235,000 over 4 years, and that's a lot of money.
It is, but like I was saying, I understand that school is a lot, but we just got to be on the hustle. Like, we could always make it happen as long as we're just staying on top of it and continuing to send out applications.
Oh, yeah.
What are some things you've been doing specifically to make sure you get the money for school?
Man, wake up, get on that computer, send emails, apply, go to bed.
No, for real. I feel like I'd be annoying the teachers and the staff at our school with how much questions I ask just to make sure everything looks right before I hit submit.
All the time.
Yeah. And honestly, I've been applying for every scholarship that I see, but I really do think that the hardest thing is staying positive. You always think in the back of your head, what if you won't have enough money? What if something goes wrong? Like, the hardest thing is really trying to stay positive and don't get down, don't lose your motivation, all that.
Low key, I've just been procrastinating. Like, I've been submitted plenty of college applications, but I really need to hop on scholarships. I've really been trying to focus on staying positive too, because a lot's been going on in life. I'm a senior, everything else, and I've been steady going towards my goals, but nothing changes if nothing changes. So I got to keep working hard.
No, for real. I feel like that does have a lot to do with why a lot of students end up not applying to as many scholarships, because it just gets overwhelming with the application process. It's more than you would even expect, and usually it's always the essays for me, like the essay questions. You can't just rush through it either. You got to really sit down and take the time to make sure your application stands out.
Yeah, I keep running around stressing about letters of recommendation, acceptance letters, money, and everything like that.
Luckily, we have the Common App, so at least when we're applying, we don't got to worry about fees.
Yeah.
That's the biggest part, save ourselves.
It made things a lot easier. Like, it kind of just, like, it didn't make me stressed out or anything. I could just have all of my colleges lined up.
Yeah, one little thing, just knock them out.
Lined up, yeah.
That's the way to do it.
I kept putting colleges on the list on the Black Common App, just thinking that I was going to apply to them, but I got the ones that I needed to.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind is that you definitely got to make sure to have everything laid in advance. Like, don't be on zero timing when you're about to start an application. Because that way you're not caught off guard with the multiple essay prompts or the letter of recommendations that are required to even be considered for the application. That's why I made sure to get on my letters and stuff as early as last year, because I knew it was going to be really hectic this year, and just a lot of new opening opportunities and deadlines to keep up with.
Yeah, that time management is crucial. That money is too. You can literally graduate like over $100,000 in debt by the time you're about 22 years old.
Yeah.
That's crazy. If outside factors and money was an issue, where do you guys think you'd be going to school?
Well, honestly, for me, I've been thinking about going to HBCUs for a minute now, and I feel like in Colorado, I've just missed out on a few opportunities, and I feel like I need to expand my perspective, so I was really thinking of, like, places with HBCUs in states that I really liked, and I'm named after Savannah, Georgia, and my parents always took me there, and we visited, and we went to Atlanta, so that's when I really started, like, looking into schools there. Like, I was looking at Savannah State, and then Spelman, Clark, so Spelman ended up being my dream school, and I got accepted, so it really is just the money, and I was looking for a sisterhood. Like, I'm excited to go to Spelman, and I'm really excited to just engage in new opportunities, and I really just want to be, like, surrounded by money and glory. I know that everyone around me will really help me build my success story, But it is gonna cost me $50K a year.
$50K a year?
Yeah.
$50K? What, Spelman?
Yes, and Clark.
My school doesn't even have out-of-state tuition. These other school prices are crazy.
I mean, some schools have discounts though. Like for example, University of Maryland, that's the HBCU I was thinking about going to, and their out-of-state tuition is the same just because we live in a state that doesn't have an HBCU. So you just gotta, it depends on where you look.
Yeah.
Here in Colorado, the average in-state tuition is about $27,000 per year. Then that's for fees, room, and boarding at a public school. So that's about $100K rounded up to a 4-year degree. And to a private school, the University of Denver is like $60K for tuition, another $13K for housing. That's almost $80K per year. And I ain't going to no private school. So in other words, your 2 years at Spelman could cover my whole 4.
I mean, I guess so. I'm excited for Spelman though. I definitely think that it'll be a great opportunity. And I'm gonna make sure I ain't spending that much money at all. That's why I'm on those scholarships, on those grants, everything. So, and I'm really going because while I'm out there, I'm gonna make sure whatever I end up doing, I'm gonna be making that money plus more in a few months.
Right.
What are you thinking about though, Paris? Where you want to go to school?
I'm thinking about Bethune-Cookman, either that or Texas Southern.
Why there?
There was, okay, so Texas Southern, when I went and visited, it was like really nice campus, really like good energy from them. And then Bethune-Cookman, it looks pretty good, and I'll be looking at their campus during spring break.
Bethune-Cookman, is that a HBCU? And you have family in Florida?
Yeah, it is. It's a private school, which usually private schools are more expensive because, you know, they rely on their student fees to, you know, cover teachers' costs or teachers'
salaries.
Yeah, teachers' salaries and everything like that. But this school, nah, they don't have that. But yeah, my grandma lives out there, or one of my grandmas here. She owns a house out there, and her mom. Are you
gonna stay with her?
Yeah, her mom with my grandma. I'll be living with her, and she'll be letting me drive the car that she's giving me. It's a 1999 Jaguar.
She's giving it to you?
Yeah, she said she would give it to me, so it should be mine.
Grandma, if you're watching this, we need that vehicle.
Yeah, that's really generous of her. To be honest, I wish I would have started driving while I was still in high school, but I just wasn't really worried about it, and I wasn't tripping because I knew that's something I'm going to have done before my 20s.
Yeah, no, my mom had me on that early. I got my license almost right as I turned 16.
Yeah, my mom too. I got my permit at 15, but yeah, I'm really blessed and I'm really thankful. How about you though, Josh?
For some reason, I've always wanted to go to Kentucky. I don't know. I watched March Madness growing up. I made brackets. I bought jerseys. My whole family really grew up on that. So the whole feel of that college basketball idea really stood out to me. I used to have a little fantasy. I was going to be 6'5", tall as heck. I'd be on a full ride scholarship, dreads touching my shoulders. Man, but honestly, now I'm more into people who look like me, and I'm more about that culture. So I think I really want to visit the South. So as of right now, I definitely say South Carolina State University.
Yeah.
How much does South Carolina cost?
Their in-state tuition ranges about $11,000. So, and their out-of-state is $21,000. But they offered me in-state tuition. So
that's a lot cheaper than Spelman.
Yeah.
Well, what about South Carolina State drew your attention specifically?
To me, I enjoyed like the school visits that they did. Like when they came down to DMLK, I loved it. I made great connections. I liked the feel that they brought to me. Overall, it just felt really welcoming. So, and I still stay in touch with most of them. So, it really just stood out to most of me to any other meets that we had. What about you, Nai?
Well, I actually haven't made an official decision yet. There's just so much I'm juggling when it comes to the different programs and like majors that certain colleges have that would really match my career. That's why it's just so many good opportunities not to pass up. And I have been debating on a bunch of different schools, but I won't really know where I'm going until I figure out my financial situation. I think that my money situation and the cost of tuition is what's going to determine where I'm really going.
Yeah.
And that's why applying for scholarships has been a really big thing for me, because every little bit counts, and I wouldn't want to just like make that move. Like I could go out of state, but I wouldn't want to get there and then not be prepared and be dealing with debt, and that just wouldn't be fun. It would take away from my experience.
Yeah.
But at first my mind was really set on going to Oregon because of the way the weather is there. Like, this is really random, but that rainy fall type of vibe is where I feel like I belong. And I remember watching Coraline when I was younger. I really love that movie. Like, till this day, I watch it on repeat.
I don't know how you like that.
Yeah, Coraline's one of my favorites too.
Coraline sucks, bro.
What, Josh? You haven't even seen it. You haven't seen any movies.
Bro.
I was talking to you about Tangled the other day, and you had no idea what I was talking
Bro,
about.
she played the randomest clip of this song.
You haven't even seen Princess and the Frog, Josh.
Okay, bro. Frog Princess kissed the end.
What?
How you gonna say it sucks? You ain't seen it.
Literally.
That is really scary, though. We're gonna have to have a movie night one of these days before the school year ends, because you've definitely missed out on a lot. But like I was saying, the rain in that movie, I did my research and found that it is common for it to rain a lot there. Like, I would go on the weather app and see the next 2 weeks is gonna be rain. So it's really somewhere I feel like I would find true happiness, and I would belong there.
You don't like the weather here?
I mean, the weather here is just very bipolar. Like, honestly, I do feel like the downside to being around all this rainy weather is just the depression rates in Oregon. Like, a lot of people, they do get sad if rainy weather is all they're used to. So.
Yeah.
I feel like that was the biggest factor. Like, I cannot be anywhere like gloomy and snowy anymore. Like, I need to be somewhere sunny and hopefully have a beach too, like what you was talking about.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I got to admit, I love wearing hoodies and sweats here, but I need some sun.
No,
like,
I completely understand. Like, the weather is a really important thing to consider when you're moving somewhere new. I do like the rainy weather, but I've had to keep in mind like how I would react when things start to get a little challenging. Like, I know colleges isn't just this smooth road. Like, if it's always just gloomy outside, it wouldn't help things at all, and it would actually make my mood way worse.
yeah. I know you've been looking at Oregon, but we are taking that HBCU tour next week. What made you think about the idea of an HBCU?
Well, to be honest, up until a few months ago, I wasn't really interested in attending an HBCU because I didn't know much about them. But honestly, just talking to more people about it and getting to see the experiences of the alumni that graduated from our high school, I get FOMO, and it just made me want to do anything it takes to get there.
Yeah.
Me wanting to be a biology major, I really just want to go to a school where I know I'm going to get all the support I need for those extra hard math classes and science without being judged. Like, anywhere where I feel like I'm being supported, no matter what, if I'm struggling or not, I just know I'll feel at home.
Yeah.
That's what I care about.
Yeah, I feel like after you go to the HBCU tour, your opinion might change because they're really an experience to have.
I do too. Like, I think because I'll have a more in-person experience with being on those campuses, I'll know right away if I fit into the environment. Like, I'll actually get to see if being at an HBCU is somewhere I see myself sticking with for the next 4 years. But there are also specific HBCU scholarships you can apply to, and they're like being funded by certain companies that we know of, like McDonald's and stuff like that.
Yeah, like the merit-based scholarship, like the Wilmington Management Scholarship, the McDonald's HBCU Ford Scholarship, the Icon Scholarship, and the Ron Brown Scholarship, and a whole bunch of stuff like that.
No, yeah, and the HBCU tour was honestly an amazing opportunity, and like even for me, like I've gone on the last one too, and it really did open my eyes, and I feel that like soon as you like get that experience, it really will definitely feel like a community that you want to be a part of, and it kind of felt like that at the Black Issues Forum that we all went to, and even Gallup, this really popular poll, found that Black HBCU graduates were more than twice as likely to recall that they felt supported during college than Black graduates at non-HBCUs.
That's good. This conversation is important. It's just like, this is why we need to do episodes like these, because there are so many things I wish I knew earlier that I would have been on top of it. There's a lot of doors I could have been through today that my past might have, prevented me to, but that's not to say we're going forward, but it's good to have these conversations I feel like I'm glad that we get to have these conversations to help other people and put them in better positions than we could have been ourselves.
Definitely.
Right. I do definitely feel like college is about the fun, but you got to consider the small things you may not have thought of so you're not caught off guard.
Yeah.
Like, according to National Center for Education Statistics, the average college student takes around 5 to 6 years to complete their bachelor's degree, which is usually not normal. You usually expect to go into college only for 4 years. So that extra year is just kind of like, I could be making my money right now.
And that's an extra like $100K depending on what school you go to.
Right.
Yeah.
And like most students don't graduate within the standard 4-year time frame, like with many taking longer due to factors like part-time study, changing majors, and life circumstances. So this just goes to show that you never really know what you could be unexpectedly hit with in college.
Yeah. And as soon as you miss a class or anything happens, you have to pay for it. It can cost you 30, 50K just to redo all those classes.
The cost to breathe in college.
For real.
Cost to walk and think. A study I was doing shows that about 7 in 10 recent high school graduates said that they would have taken more challenging classes and, capitalized better on their opportunities had they known like the expectation for their colleges and their profession.
Yeah, and more than 80% of college students who took less than Algebra 2 were required to take remedial coursework, compared with just 18% of students who were taking coursework beyond Algebra 2 in high school.
Yeah. Stay on top of your classes. Don't fail. Be ahead. Like when you're ahead, you can save money and save time.
Yeah, like there's a lot of things that play into that. Like even simple things like GPA, like that's big. Like had I known how important my GPA was going to be in the future, not to say I wasn't being warned, but I didn't. It was nothing to me at the time. So had I been, more cognizant and more aware of what was ahead of me, I could have been in different positions. So that's really important.
Yeah.
Right. The application process for colleges wasn't really the difficult part for me. I just remember by November on the Common App, I had already reached my limit of like 20 schools, and I had to start applying on the regular websites, which wasn't that bad. I would just pay attention to like the majors the schools had and stuff, like what fit me. But some schools didn't have a pre-dental major, like some did, which I find that it's really cool. But as long as I'm taking the classes I need to get admitted in the dental school, that's all I care about. The main thing has been trying to meet the requirements of everything. I know that a lot of schools had institutional deadlines. Like March 1st.
I was stressing that whole week.
Yeah. Coming into this month was already really hectic, and I just had to make sure I was on top of everything, the important scholarships and college programs. I know I'll regret being able to add certain things on my resume, like a sport or something like that, but honestly, I've already had a lot on my plate and just been involved in other little clubs that have gotten me out there and exposed me to good resources.
Yeah, and honestly, like something that I do to kind of like being on top of your stuff is like vital. Like what has really helped me is just like reminders and keeping stuff organized. Like I really like things to be tidy and clean. I have a huge whiteboard at my house, and I have all the deadlines coming up. I have Google Sheets, I have Google Calendar. Like on my Google Sheets, I have all of my scholarships lined up, the due date, the type of scholarship, the requirements for the scholarship, the website, everything. I have everything.
She's not real, bro.
She loves it.
I have everything organized.
Part Savannah, part
T.
robot.
I got
Whatever.
I got like a little whiteboard. I need to do more with it though. All I got right now on is my goals and stuff.
You got these in your room?
My whiteboard is like this big, and it hangs on my wall. My dad had to get the drill and drill it so it would stay on my wall.
He mounted it.
Yes, he mounted this big whiteboard onto my wall.
That's cool.
For me, the process was kind of it was like repetitive and annoying, but when I saw my acceptances come in, I felt like really relieved.
Felt worth it.
Yeah, most definitely.
Didn't feel like your work was in vain.
And then just doing everything before you have to worry about it is really good for you. And also keeping track of everything. And like it was said before, I use the Common App mostly for like free applications.
Yeah.
And then I used like certain school websites, and it was waived too, so I didn't have to pay either.
Yeah. I think scholarships are definitely the most repetitive. They all kind of ask you for your list of extracurriculars, your awards, the letter of recommendations, and a few essays. Sometimes they're different, but there are so many different types of scholarships. Some may ask you to upload an art or business portfolio. It really just depends, but the essays are really the major component of scholarships. Everyone wants to hear who you are as a person, your goals, ambitions, and reasoning behind it.
No, that's definitely true. Like sometimes the essay prompts can be very time consuming, and you also got to be careful with how you answer. Like one wrong response could just change the way
knowing
you
your
sound.
target audience is important.
Right. Like it could just change the way you sound overall, and providing more insight about who you are and what you're going to bring for your college community is really what they look for as well.
And there's like a variety of scholarships that support athletes, musicians, students, who haven't performed well academically, and there's scholarships literally for like anything. Like brands have scholarships, restaurants have scholarships, colleges, of course. Yeah, anything.
Yeah, like I found so many of those big corporations like Foot Locker, Starbucks, but like you were saying, like there are a lot of scholarships and they lead to more scholarships, but you really have to be aware of your target audience. You should be selective on the scholarships that you are applying for. Like people who are more artistic through high school should definitely apply for this Denver Foundation Museum of Contemporary Art Scholarship. It was like $20,000.
20 grand.
And they had to present a project that they've done over their high school career. I was trying to do that, but I didn't realize that it had to be like a previous project, and it was just it was a lot, but it was definitely an amazing opportunity, and I wish that I would have known about it sooner and not a few days before the deadline. But there are so many opportunities, and when you're understanding your audience, you really have to look for the scholarships that you really think that you will get. You have to be confident in those scholarships, and you don't want to waste your time on scholarships that, oh, maybe I'll get it, you know? Like, you have to be confident. Like, for me, for example, I kind of like channel the scholarships that I apply for, like scholarships for Black girls going to HBCUs, girls who want to go into journalism and business, and just kind of like
filtering them to your personnel,
like maybe being like a social change leader, or being like an activist in your community, and just like being a mentor, and just you really have to channel like the stuff that you do with the scholarship.
Right. Like, this relates a lot to what you're saying, like, about your area of interest. Because one thing I did find is that they offer a lot of scholarships for women in STEM. And it's always nice to have that extra money opportunity relating to your interest. Like, it's always something I've had to keep in mind, to look at unique categories when it comes to applying for scholarships, because there's lots of money being handed to students with specific goals. You don't want to hold back on including areas where you may stand out as an applicant. Like, so far, I applied to a couple biomedical scholarships because they fit exactly what I'm aiming to study, and I have a better time talking about my passion for this subject.
Yeah.
And the process of applying could look a variety of ways. Like, it don't always got to be the same things. Like, I know there's some kids who are not even eligible. Like, for me personally, I have some individuals, I have some friends who got themselves into some law trouble, got themselves into some legal trouble, and so funding and even being eligible to apply for scholarships kind of just became like a no-go out the door. So but luckily for them, connections through their family, they had reached out and they had found this resource, and I wish I really did know the name of the program, but they would stay with them, and, you know, they would do mentors, and, you know, they would have like these advocates for them. You know, they would have to go a little mile, and from what I know, I believe it requires you to take like some gap years, but they would support you, they would stick with you, and then in the long run, you know, they end up completing the program. They help you through like the legal. They take you, I feel like they walk through you to court, and then your final opportunity is like they grant you money and they help you, support you through your financial aid going through college. So it could look a variety of ways. It's not always the straight through path. So please keep in mind that if, you know, you're not in the best position, that there's always room somewhere out there for you to find that help that you need.
Right. Like, a challenge I face personally is just barely having a good enough GPA to qualify for a scholarship. Like, I think my GPA is pretty good by itself. I mean, it's above a 3.5, but I do wish I did better in my earlier years of high school. That way it could have been a little higher and I could have been more competitive. But some organizations just have higher expectations and believe that students should show strong academic achievement that's a way above average to be deserving of a certain scholarship.
And just to highlight what you said, please keep in mind that when you're applying to these things and you're reaching out to these resources, remember to be a competitive applicant. That's big.
Yeah.
That's big.
And a competitive applicant is someone who has exceeded expectations with the vast variety of extracurriculars and community engagement, a large participation in school and outside of school activities, as well as a strong identity and personal story that people can vouch for. It's always a plus to have letter of recommendations that are personable and authentic. It really does take dedication and time. Knowing who and what you want to be early is a good thing. Like, I knew what I wanted to be really early, and I knew that I wanted to go to college and pursue my goals, so that's when I really started engaging in opportunities, and I really did want to become a leader in my community and a face at my school. So the biggest thing was being a part of extracurriculars. I have found so many people who genuinely care for me and my success, and I have found people and connections that have helped me fund like my HBCU tour that we're gonna go on, and like my past HBCU tour. And so I've been able to be a part of a lot of extracurriculars like volleyball, basketball, soccer, sax, inroads. I literally did everything that people like put in front of me, and like I was also a part of a few internships as well. So it really is taking advantage of those resources, and I've met so many cool and interesting people who helped me meet more people and helped me do more and more. So like even now I ended up being recommended by my principal and Mr. Legg to MC the DPS Met Gala, and I got selected as one of the MCs, and it's like an amazing opportunity, and it's like me vouching for myself and advocating for myself and doing all these things has helped me become someone that people can recommend. So I definitely say that like take advantage of every single opportunity, like even like those summer programs are vital. Like when we all went to the Black Issues Forum, that was amazing.
Oh yeah,
I wish we could go back.
Was amazing. It was also another experience I gained just connecting through Mr. Legg. The trip was fun, and I was personally looking for like an experience where I could, you know, kind of get like the feel and the idea of like hands-on what the college experience was gonna look like and feel like. And BIF was just that. Like we had our own dorm rooms, our own door key, no bedtimes. Everything was on your own time management.
Too much fun though. It was fun.
It was loaded. Our classes weren't even in the same place. We'd have to wake up on time, get ready on time. We'd have to, if you didn't know where you was, I mean, your mentor will obviously help you, but most of the time you were kind of navigating yourself around, getting to your different classes. They even took us to the library. Like we was hands on with their computers, learning how they find sites to, you know, do their essays and stuff. So it was great. But like I wouldn't have none of them opportunities if, you know, I just wasn't close with my counselor. I wasn't, you know, reaching out to those resources. So I'm grateful that we had opportunities like that. So taking advantage of them and making sure that you capitalize on them is really important, because had I not went, that's an opportunity I would have missed out on and regretted forever.
It was a really good experience. I'm sorry, but it was just like we ended up having projects that were about like different aspects of like Black culture and Black excellence, and it was so meaningful. Like it might have just been a week long, but it really
was loaded.
It changed so many things. It changed my perspective on us as people in the community and just like the college experience. Like I really thought that schools in Colorado weren't gonna ever give you that Black experience, but CSU like really opened my eyes. And even our mentors we met, they were amazing.
Yeah, I still talk to mine.
Literally every day. It was just fun and it was exciting. And then I met some of my like best friends there, and I feel like it was like the most vital thing that we could have been a part of. So for all you juniors that are about to be seniors, you should apply for the Black Issues Forum at CSU. It is amazing.
Yeah, BIF was a really fun experience, and honestly I didn't even expect it to be what it was. I thought it was going to be more of an academic focused program, which it was, but we actually had fun. Like we actually got to bond with everybody,
water guns,
make new friendships.
Nah, that was crazy.
Water guns.
It was laughable. It was fun. But even though I haven't done sports, that's another thing that connects to that. I have gotten involved in other academic programs and small clubs that have exposed me to a bunch of different scholarships and professionals who've came up to tell their stories about like what they went through in their own experiences trying to chase their career. And just recently I started attending the Colorado Beauty Cotillion events, which consisted of mainly college panels. Like remember when we went to that first one and those college students from HBCUs, they came and told their experiences.
Cool experience,
I was like, I feel like it was really good for us personally, because that's what we want to do, and it just gave us more insight about what they did and their steps to get there.
And I definitely like asked them a lot of questions. Like there was this one guy from Morehouse, and he was talking about like if he didn't know if he was going to go to Morehouse and like the scholarships he needed. And I even like expressed to everybody there, I was like, I'm stuck between Clark and Spelman and in-state. And everybody was Black, you know, but everybody was supporting me. They were like, do what you want to do, go where you want to be.
That's big.
So it's definitely like those opportunities where people can just really like help you engage.
Right. I like when people come and talk about what moves they're making to get to their dream schools and like what it even took for them to get there while they were seniors. It gives you a lot to look up to and people to look up to as examples for where you're going.
Yeah, I gotta talk to more people about the stuff that I'm interested in, so I can, you know, see the stuff like that, so I can be exposed to it.
Right.
But stuff that I've been a part of Drumline. Through Drumline, I've been able to go to parades, perform on TV, perform in different schools and stuff like that. That's been really nice, and I've really fell in love with Drumline. Like, my mom put me in Drumline my freshman year, and I've fallen in love with it.
Yeah, and even if you change ideas of what you want to do in the future, like embracing yourself and new experiences and having a story and a list of experiences and characteristics can make you a very unique and strong applicant for scholarships and even in life.
Yeah. And here's a list of some of those resources that we mentioned that students can check out. While navigating not only my college and post-high school plans, but my life as a whole, Mr. Hap Legg, our guidance counselor down at Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Early College, has been more than a helping, keeping me accountable, watching over my shoulder, and just walking me through my day-to-day knucklehead lifestyle, but supporting me for my future.
Mr. Legg has made sure to notify me about new opportunities I would enjoy personally just based off my progress and my plans for after high school. He lets me know to stay grounded in my academics and keep working hard to make my dreams a reality because he knows I have high expectations and I want to do big things in my career. He has been a big support for me, and I always know I have him to talk to about my worries and my education.
For me, Mr. Legg just helps me be intentional. For me, I'm a very procrastinating person. I do things like so last minute, but talking to Mr. Legg, he lets me know like real stuff. So I'm not naive about what's to come soon. And he's very passionate about making sure students don't struggle in the future. And he's doing a good job of keeping me and a lot of other students accountable.
Yeah. And for me, you have helped push me to be the best person that I can be. You have worked with me for years and encouraged me during all my extracurriculars and been a constant support and become someone who will help me even outside of high school. You have seen my hard work and continues to set me up for success. Mr. Legg, we are so excited to have you here. Yes. You have been a great resource for us at DMLK, and we really want to ask you some questions and give people advice on what they can do to prepare themselves for college.
Well, before we start, Mr. Legg, who are you wearing today?
Who am I wearing? I'm wearing me. Okay. I've gotten a lot of clothes over my lifetime, but now I'm fortunate enough that I can just let my daughters get them for me. They know my style. They know what I like. So I don't know what I wear. I just wear what I want to wear.
Must be nice.
Are your daughters not in school?
Oldest actually is the only one still in school, so she's in med school right now.
Okay, where does she go?
She goes to Stanford. She's in med school at Stanford.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
Big.
So, Mr. Legg, our first question we want to ask you is, we want to know what college and university you attended and what was the process of applying for college like for you?
So I graduated high school in 1994. I graduated from Hinckley High School in Aurora. And my senior year, my high school career was much different than yours. You would laugh if you saw the things that I did and how unfocused I was during that time. So my goal always was to go to the University of Oregon. I wanted to go to the University of Oregon. I wanted to graduate from there because I wanted to work for Nike. So that was the limit to my planning at that time. Was I was going to go to University of Oregon, study business, and then go work for Nike. But all I did was apply to University of Oregon. Nothing else. Didn't do financial aid. Didn't do scholarships. And when you realize how much it costs, I knew it wasn't a reality for me. And I was fortunate. I did not have a lot of guidance or advice or pushing while I was in high school. I finished 5th in my class. And yes, we had counselors, and periodically they said stuff to us, but not a consistent voice helping me throughout. Yeah. While I was in high school, my dad wasn't with me and my mom during that time. And so I just wasn't on the ball. I just happy-go-lucky floating through high school. And as a result, I ended up at CU Denver, which was great, ended up working out fine, but only because I was involved in the pre-collegiate program while I was in high school. And they are the ones who really saved me and said, hey, we have a scholarship here waiting for you. And back then it was a lot cheaper, so it actually did pay pretty much for all of my school. So it was really fortunate. I fell into that. I did not earn that.
What did you end up majoring in?
Majored business and finance.
Okay.
Well, as far as your experience in school, what do you think now when you're helping us and you think of what you did in high school? Are you like, y'all better be on top of it, or y'all ain't gonna get to where you want to be.
You know how relentless I can be, and you know how I know I have a reputation that I pester, that I am constantly sending out messaging and bothering you. I hear that all the time, but that comes from in part my experience in not getting the access to the opportunities I felt like I deserved, but also not being a motivated student or inquisitive student or someone who was pursuing things really on my own. When I was in high school, I knew I needed to go to college. My mom is Vietnamese and has a elementary school education, so it was only her and I in high school. And all I knew was I had to go to college. All she knew was I had to go to college. She just didn't know how to get me there. So from my perspective, I'm always going to do my best. Some people say you can't lead someone to water. I don't believe that. I think you can lead them to water. And when I lead people to water, what I try to lead them to is to opportunities for programs that will wrap their arms around our students and continue to support them and teach them how to start getting water on their own.
Well, what do students need to do to know they're making the right financial decisions, and as they consider to look for student loans and grants and scholarships?
Yeah, we can go on for days about that. I would be really remiss if I did not mention our partners, the Denver Scholarship Foundation. We have great representatives there, Ms. Rodriguez, Ms. Ortiz, and over time, Mr. Sandoval and Ms. Rainey. We've had amazing relationship with Denver Scholarship Foundation. And so my work as a counselor, first and foremost, is helping with making sure our students are graduating, making sure that we take care of the social emotional needs of our students. But I like to work alongside our DSF representatives and making sure our students know what their options are to be able to have school taken care of, whether that is through financial aid, whether that's through scholarships, whether that's through savings, just working with students very consistently and making sure they have the information they need. That is, I think, the biggest challenge that we often run into. One, we know that money is the challenge for school, right? But we often have students who believe they can't do it without understanding the different opportunities that exist. Say, for instance, when we talk about a school like CSU that costs approximately $31,000, if we're just talking about the direct cost to pay for tuition, room, and board at CSU, and a community college that costs $5,000 a year. Yes, a student automatically looking at that is going to say, I can't afford to go to CSU. But what they don't know is CSU works their hardest to put together a package that covers tuition, room, and board. So there are times when it is as good of a deal or even a better deal to go to a university versus a community college, even though it's cheaper. There are times. It's not always the case and not often the case, but there are times.
What would you say is like the best resource that students can go to for stuff like grants and scholarships?
I truly feel our best resource in our schools is our DSF offices.
Okay.
Our students who spend the most time there are the most knowledgeable about it. They know how to advocate for themselves. They know how to ask questions. And they know what is available to them. They get the most scholarships. They have the most options and opportunities in terms of schools and programs that they can be involved in. We're fortunate that most of our, if not all of our DPS high schools have the DSF office. Otherwise, there's quite a bit of research that you can do. You can use Maya Learning, which is our district platform for accessing college information and sending college information. You can use the Denver Scholarship Foundation website. A Google search will take you to where you need to go. Yeah. You just need to make sure you're dealing with a reliable site. And you can often tell that by digging in and seeing if it's related specifically to a college or university or who they're connected to. So I think students often fail to even just look at Google sometimes when they're trying to find resources, and that we often have to point in that direction. But in our school, and even those who don't have a DSF office, DSF is just a great resource for students to access at any time.
Well, y'all heard him, DSF. But so what precautions should students take in earlier years of high school to ensure they're in better shoes as seniors and can be competitive applicants?
Right. So you all coined the phrase competitive applicants. So hearing that, I think that you're right. And I think our students, we try to tell you as ninth graders that you need to be thinking about that then. But it's hard as a ninth grader to really be thinking about that.
Yeah.
But we know there are universities where students get a C or a D in their ninth or 10th grade years, and that may exclude them from being competitive for a program. And we know there are universities who, if you do not have all A's and do not have honors, AP, or concurrent enrollment classes, that you're not going to be competitive for acceptance there. So it definitely starts in ninth grade. At a minimum, it starts with an upward trend. So if you struggled in ninth and 10th grade, you have to be showing an upward trend. And you just have to be about your business. And I think we've talked about this all at some point before. You know when a student is about their business. And again, I wasn't about my business in high school. And that's part of the reason why I didn't get what I wanted to get, even though I was a very good student.
Yeah.
But you have to be focused. You have to take advantage of the opportunities, much like each of you have. And you're going to have your ups and downs. But if you want to have the most options, it is a consistent approach. And if you can be performing at that highest level, especially with involvement in extracurricular activities, as you mentioned.
Do you think that students who maybe like their 9th or 10th grade year, they did kind of have that really slow, low, steady start? What do you think is the best option for them? Do you think just to try and advocate for themselves and try to just join as many extracurriculars, be a game changer? Like, what do you say for students who probably didn't start out with that already trajectory towards?
Yeah, it's depending on what your goal is. Because depending on where you want to go, whether it's a community college, university, technical school, they may be willing to accept that you don't have that top tier GPA. So it's not necessarily going to change your path or your goals. But again, I think in general, as a person, someone who's growing, you want to show an upward trajectory. And a lot of schools now, because a lot of schools are test optional and they're not using test scores for admissions to accept you or deny you, that because they're test optional, they're looking at a holistic review. So they're looking at your GPA. They're looking at your extracurricular involvement, especially leadership and volunteerism. They're looking at your essays. They're looking at your letters of recommendation, the rigor of the courses that you're taking, just anything extra that can add to your resume that it will be in consideration. They're looking at all of that. And so they're looking for well-rounded students. And so maybe if you're not where you need to be on GPA, then you can pick that up with the other things that you do. And as much as schools are saying they're test optional, the evidence to me says SATs and ACTs are a very significant part of that. So if you don't have a great GPA, then you can also make up for some of that with great test scores too.
How do you suggest students deal with rejection in a healthier way?
Yeah.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
You know, I think the cliche thing for us to say as counselors is, if you don't get any no's, you're not trying. But I think that's really true. We've had a lot of great students, and there's been times where I felt really jaded as a counselor because our students are doing everything that we tell them to do and doing great. And maybe, again, like they fall a little bit short on their SAT, but everything else is just great and amazing. And they still don't get what they deserve, right? And if you've spoken with me, you know, the thing I say is you're increasing your probability. You're not ever guaranteeing yourself anything.
Yeah.
We've had people that we felt were slam dunks for certain scholarships and slam dunks to get full rides to schools, and it hasn't happened. But each of those students has placed themselves in a position to even be considered, and they will get something. They just may not be where they want to be or where they expect it to be. The thing I say often is, hey, your path may be different, but your goal can remain the same. If you want that master's degree, if you want that PhD or MD, you can still get it. It just might not be at the universities that you expected it to happen. And all of you can attest, from ninth grade to now, where you're at now. Does anything look like exactly as you expected it?
Not at all.
No, it just doesn't work that way. So persisting through it, and when you say in a healthy way, you know, the things our students struggle with, although I think your generation is as aware of mental health and the challenges with mental health than any generation that we've had, still in general, I think students have a challenge reaching out and asking for help. Humans have that problem.
Yeah.
Y'all are a lot better at it, but that is the biggest thing that I think gets in the way. Getting help with mental health, getting help with academics, getting help in your personal life, whatever it may be. Reach out and get help. That's why all these resources and all these people are here for you.
Well, I know you tell students to, if they may not get into the school they want to go to keep CSU in their back pocket. Why would this be your recommendation?
Yeah, I went to CU Denver, so I'm a University of Colorado product and fan.
Yeah.
But over time, in my 12 years as a counselor and 15 years as an educator, I have seen CSU really make an effort to make it affordable for our students. And when you go to college, it doesn't matter whether you're a 4.0 student or a 2.5 student. There is a transition to that level of rigor, to that level of time management, to being independent on some level, to being around a bunch of different people that are different than our community. And that is a transition. And if you are not prepared academically, or if you have any financial challenges, it can be tough. And CSU has taken away, for a lot of our students who attend there, they've taken away those financial concerns. And so students can focus on being a student, engaging on campus, finding their people, getting used to the academics and the rigor of the academics.
Yeah.
And so it's not that those challenges don't exist, but the financial piece is not as much of a struggle. And then year over year, because they are doing that, they're keeping our students. They have a great retention rate, and they're seeing more students of color becoming more diverse. And then when our students are coming, they see their people there. They know that they can find their people, and so I think over time they've built up a great deal of students. When we visited there in the fall with Denver Scholarship Foundation, I texted over 30 students. I was just texting, and at the end, I texted over 30 students, and the majority of them came and engaged with our students. They're there, they're staying there, and they're doing well. So that's why I say that primarily the financial piece and the way they've taken care of our students.
Staying on that topic of rejection through applying, I have a question concerning how do you feel Black students should approach, or students of color should approach the application process, or do you believe there's a specific way that they should, approach it?
Yeah, it's interesting. So the only place I've been an educator is Montbello and Green Valley Ranch. This has been 15 years now, 3 years at Montbello during the last 3 years of its phase out, and then last 12 years at Martin Luther King. I hate when people put our students in a box. Yeah. We're a Title I school, which means we're predominantly free and reduced lunch, which indicates that we're a lower income school. But if you know our school and you know our students, we have students all over the range, right? You can look out at the cars in the parking lot and tell we have students that are all over the place in terms of the households they're coming from. And so I try to treat each student as an individual. And one thing that informs that for me is having 3 daughters. Yeah. One who went to Howard, Yale, and Stanford, one who graduated from MSU, and one who graduated from beauty school at Aveda. They really helped inform how I support students, and then working with a lot of sibling groups at school. That has helped inform me because our siblings are so different that each process is different. However, there is a consistency in the organization that needs to happen. And so like when we send out information in terms of talking about this is a process, usually October, November, December is you're hopefully completing all your applications. Then you can focus December, January, February, focus on scholarships, and January, February, FAFSA, and then working on your portals after that. Yeah. Everything is a process. And if you spread it out over the year, then you're not going to be so stressed. But unfortunately, that's what our seniors tend to do. I'm a procrastinator as well, so I understand. But there has to be a process to it. And when we talk about FAFSA or when we talk about applications, a lot of our students are first generation students. These are the first time they're doing these things. They're confusing. They're not all the same. They're very different. The FAFSA form is an easy form to complete, but also an easy form to make mistakes on. And so I say, use your resources. It's why Ms. Rodriguez and Ms. Ortiz in our DSF office exist. That's what they get paid to do. Yeah. And that's what I get paid to do. So that's what I try to tell y'all is Make us work for our money. Let us help you. Don't come to us with empty hands, but work on your process. Make it a process that's throughout the school year, and make sure you use your resources.
And you kind of touched bases on this a little bit. I just want you to dive deeper into it.
Sure.
From your perspective, do you think students of color face barriers when applying for scholarships? And if you think so, what do you think they are?
In general, again, I don't want to generalize, but in general, a lot of our students are first generation. A lot of our students of color are first generation students. And so they don't typically have someone in their home that's been through that process that can help them through it. And that can be a barrier in itself, is just not having that knowledge, sometimes not having that support. So that is one of the first barriers. And in general, some of it is, I would say, is expectations too. Often as educators, I think sometimes over time we accept something as good that we shouldn't.
Yeah.
And so we don't hold our students to high expectations sometimes. And so I think sometimes our students' expectations aren't great for where they should be applying. Not applying to upper tier schools, not applying to schools that will stretch them a little bit. They will look more locally and look really really in-state and locally rather than some of the other opportunities that they may have. So I think it's really that support that tells them, hey, there's more out there for you. Open your eyes to what's there for you and get support and getting access to it.
What do you say kind of about like the HBCU scenario? Like a lot of HBCUs don't get very good financial aid, but how important is that opportunity for some of our students, especially since our main options are PWIs here in Colorado?
Yeah. I mean, as a father of a HBCU graduate, to see the family that was created, to see the experience, to see the support that was provided, I can definitely speak to that. And I know that seeing people like you, knowing people that that feels familiar to you, feels like home, there is most definitely a significance to that. And I think everyone should consider a HBCU, and really of any race. If you go to a HBCU, one, there's a diversity of Black people on campus, and there's also a diversity of other races there. But to see the Black excellence and to see those high expectations, and to see just the bond, that's the bonds that are created in those settings. That is what I love about HBCUs. I didn't have anyone pointing me in that direction or have any idea of what a HBCU was in college. I wish I had that opportunity. But I'm definitely a believer in that experience. But I'm also a believer of wherever you go, you kill it. Yeah. Wherever you go, you be the best student you can be. You be the engaged student that you can be. And you'll have access to experiences and opportunities that are great if you do that anywhere you go.
Yeah. To kind of end us off, we want to ask, what is really your biggest piece of advice for these students, and what is like the most influential thing that you can tell them to kind of inspire them to keep going and just to advocate for themselves?
Yeah. I kind of just said it. Wherever you go, kill it, right?
Yeah.
I think our students in general often concern themselves with comparing themselves to peers. So people say comparison is the thief of joy. Again, you have your own individual experience. And I think it's really important to be true to yourself and give yourself grace. Because again, if you're applying to scholarships, you're applying to schools, you're going to be told no. If you're doing it right, you're going to be told no. That is going to happen. But you have to keep pushing. We know that obstacles exist. All kinds of obstacles exist. And as a counselor, that's part of the reason I came into counseling, is understanding that everybody's circumstances are different, and there are different things that lead them to do what they do. But the bottom line for you all is you deserve to have what you want and what you've earned. And so keep pursuing that. Don't allow anything to deter you from pursuing that. And again, along the way, utilize your resources. Connecting you all, or helping connect you all with different resources and programs and activities. Unfortunately, even though we do that, we have a lot of students who still, after the fact, don't go back and use those resources. And that's just not knowing how to go out and get help, right? Or not being willing to get help. So be persistent wherever you go. You can be the student you want to be and need to be. So keep doing that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Legg. I learned a lot from everything you just said, even just in this little small time that you've been here.
I appreciate it.
You can check out these college scholarships and some resources and some more information right here.
We hope this podcast encourages and helps future or current students struggling or thriving. And just to recap, one thing that I would suggest is to just get to know yourself more before you go and do the big thing. Like before you go to college, you want to know what you want to do so you can choose a major, so you can, stick with it, so you don't waste your money or your time.
Yeah, and that's big. I suggest starting early too. Get into those things early. Know what you want to do. Have an idea so you can start getting on stuff and making those connections early. Yep. That's big. As early as your sophomore year.
Yeah, and definitely advocating for yourself and building connections. You never know who you're going to meet and who can help you lead yourself to something else.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's important to know what you want and how committed you are to making those dreams a reality. Mr. Legg's words always stick with me after having a conversation with him, and he gives me a new perspective on things I thought I once had figured out.
Right.
Yeah, but we hope you enjoyed our conversation, and thanks for joining us on Black Voices in Color.
If you enjoy our show, please let us know how you're feeling about our topics so far and what we will be discussing as a whole. Leave your comments or feedback on our Instagram page, and be sure to come back for our next episode.
And of course, until our next walk, we'll come back. Be sure to
awaken the soul, empower the mind.